This is the All-Star Networking Show with your host, Kathy Paper.
Welcome to the All-Star Networking Show. I'm Kathy Paper, and joining me today is Shaun Irwin, and so excited to reconnect with you on, Zoom, chatting it all up. I wonder though, Shaun, if you would just introduce yourself to the listeners, because when you first jumped on, you're at a new location and you've had some changes since we've last spoken. So let everybody know what you're up to, and then we'll launch in if you don't mind.
Well, thank you, Kathy. It's always great to connect with you. And I am working for an organization called USI, and I do risk management consulting, and have really been involved in this kind of work for, I think last Saturday was 37 years, so a long time. I've been
All right.
this kind of work, and it's been something that's near and dear to my heart, both referrals and networking, and people have been so kind over the years to help me, and I'm happy to help out anybody else who's looking to do a more effective job of that.
Oh, excellent. Well, you and I crossed paths many years ago through Andre Sekurik and Homestead Road, and we did some fundraising together there. But I guess I would just start with the basics of, were you always a networker and a connector when you first began, or was this a skill that blossomed for you?
I think it was a skill that blossomed for me. I would give most of the credit to my brother, Doug. Was an incredible networker, and I ended up working with him for a number of years when I was a young guy, and I watched him, and it just seemed like magic. He was so good at connecting people and helping people get things done, even if it was something that he had nothing to do with, no monetary gain. No, he just knew so many people that could help other people. And that was really something that struck me as just being so kind. And so I moved to Minnesota, did not know a single person in Minnesota except my future ex-wife. And I didn't know anybody. So I thought, well, I probably need to meet some people. And for a lot of folks that move here from somewhere else, they will tell you that people in Minnesota are really nice. That doesn't necessarily mean that they want to be your friend.
Right. And where did you move from, Shaun? I didn't know you weren't from here. So you've obviously, either acclimated or you fall in the category where most people ask me if I'm not from Minnesota. So.
Right. Well, I moved here from an odd place for transplants because I moved here from San Diego, California. So
nice.
I didn't think to myself, oh my gosh, I need to move to a really cold place.
You just followed your love interest. So
Right.
did your brother, you were working together back in San Diego, and he taught you sort of how to network?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say that he went about, here's the lessons of life, right?
Yeah.
That was a great person, that was a mentor that I watched operate, and that I thought that was great to help other people and be able to know all these people that can help someone else. Seemed like a really, really good way to live. And I saw how much joy he got out of like connecting Kathy with Sarah, or Bob and Kathy, to do something together. And he really just got such a kick out of it that I thought that'd be fun too. And so an opportunity came up in an organization years ago called Network USA, which is similar to BNI, or my brother's iteration of it in San Diego. It was called LaTip. And I was approached by somebody, and I said, I'm in 100%, no question about it. Well, you should come to a meeting, Shaun. I said, no, I don't need to come to a meeting. I'm just telling you right now, I'm in. So he's like, okay, well, settle down there, big shooter. And and I did go to a meeting, and I was in a formal networking group in that regard. And then ultimately, throughout my time, I was able to form a lot of looser networking groups in different areas, whether it be through associations or interests that I had or things like that. So um, it really led to some other really positive things.
And okay, that's interesting of you started kind of in the formal networking group and then some looser networking groups. One of the things people wrestle with networking is finding time to build quality relationships or juggling those pieces. And I really like what you said of knowing other people to help them. You've always struck me as very calm. So how did you juggle kind of either early on or even today, all those different parts of your relationships?
It's funny that you say I strike you as very calm because I'm going to go home and tell my wife that you find me as very calm. So in the full disclosure, I said my future ex-wife. I was ultimately divorced, but I have been married for 32 years to Cindy and really grateful for that. But there's in no description of me would she tell people that I am calm. So calm does not really fit. I may give that off, but I'm not a calm person. I have squirrels with knives running through my head. I'm not a calm person.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
I'm very restless in that regard. So again, going back a little bit to the Minnesota thing, because I didn't have all these structural relationships in place. Given the example, my wife is from Minnesota, and really pretty much all of her friends are people that she's known her entire life. Her sisters, cousins, maybe a couple of people she went to high school with, but really no like outward organically grown friend type of group. And one of the ways, and I'll reference it as it relates to this networking thing, I played basketball at Lifetime Fitness. Both you and I are active physically people, and I need to run off energy because I have a lot of energy. And I played basketball at 5 a.m. at the Plymouth Lifetime. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and when I was there, I would ask people, even though it was about hoops, sometimes you'd have a game off because you lost a game. You had to wait for the next game to finish. So I talked to people about what they do, and, got to know a few people that way. And, are they married and children, all these various questions that you might have conversations about. And then I said to a guy who's now a dear friend of mine and became a friend of mine, I said, you know what I noticed, Tommy? I said, people that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to play basketball 3 days a week, there's some pretty successful people here. And he laughed. He thought that was pretty funny. But then ultimately, I ended up doing business with half a dozen people that I played basketball with at 5 o'clock in the morning. I ended up later on joining Rotary specifically to have somebody else organize philanthropic things because I didn't have time. By then I had a couple of young children and I wanted to be involved in the community, but really I'm not a great organizer. So I didn't have time necessarily to organize it, but I could certainly go if other people organized it. And sort of the same thing, my intention and my only intention of Rotary was to join to do service. Well, it turned out that's what I joined for, but I can tell you, I'm in a Rotary group with 80 people, and I probably have done business with 15 of them. And if you expand that out, it's just one of those things. It's always about know, like, trust, right? If we don't get to know somebody, we're not going to cross that bridge of like and trust. And at its core, it's just allowing conversations to grow in a way that you get to know what makes people tick. How can you help them?
Mm-hmm. I like the way you describe how you joined Rotary purely for the philanthropic reasons, because I think some of that clarity kind of shows through. And again, some of the people that I would say are all-star networkers, while they do business in a lot of their groups and circles, they don't go into it always leading with the, oh, I need business, because we all need business, right? Or we need and want good connections. But both the basketball example and the Rotary, it's like you knew you wanted to play basketball because you wanted your physical fitness. And, again, like you said, on the breaks in between games, eventually people say, hey, what do you do? And that's an interesting way to do it. So I just wanted to punctuate that because I like how you articulated it. And I know a lot of people that will join a group and be like, well, I'm joining this, but I really want to get business. And it's not that it's not in the back of your mind, but it's not the first and foremost reason. You join because you're passionate about orchestra or volunteering or something. So I think that's really impressive. And did you say 80 people are in your Rotary group?
Yes.
Okay.
I also believe, Kathy, that it's a blend of formal networking, right? I was in a formal networking group, that it was okay to come with a specific ask. And I will tell you that Ellen McDonough is a woman in the travel business. And I learned so much from everybody else. And she did a thing that I thought, well, that makes total sense. I don't know why I haven't done that before. She would bring specific names of specific companies. Again, formal networking. I'm talking about a formal networking group. And she would bring 3 a week. And she would say, does anybody know Sarah Stiles at this such and such company? Does anybody know Bob Baker at such and such a company? And really, almost once every other week, somebody would know exactly who she wanted to talk to. And then they would connect her to that person that she wanted to talk to. I think when you're in a formal networking group, really being thoughtful about exactly who is it I want to talk to and why do I want to talk to them and how am I going to benefit them is something that you can share over time and really get comfortable with. And then in the more informal ones, like a basketball court or a Rotary, that's really more from an informal perspective, people that you're getting to know, and they might ask you a question simply because you're elevated, trustworthy person that they think highly of. Hey, you guys bought a house a couple of years ago. Do you know a realtor that I might use? Or, and I would say I share this with my brother, that I get as jazzed about helping connect 2 other people as I do about anybody ever doing business with me.
Nice. I call that the networking assist. So, in basketball, they have your statistics and, you get points for the assist. And I'm blanking on his name, who plays Gopher men's basketball, who's leading assist player, Elijah Hawkins. So leading assist player, I call when you help somebody else, that's your networking assist. It's not about you. It's about, can you give somebody else and set them up nicely? Whether, like you said, a realtor, babysitter, restaurant, mechanic, or getting them something else. So that's great. I like do you track? Are you a scorekeeper? Not a scorekeeper on relationships, but do you track your referrals, or how do you keep it all straight? Because you do seem very calm to me, actually.
I have in my life because I owned a company for 20 years, and I put together referral reward programs for our customers, and so I had customers ask me to help them put together referral reward programs. So yes, I have in my life, I have tracked a fascinating thing that I discovered. So I give a lot of referrals too. So I was not thinking about, I'm going to give exactly as many as I receive. I tracked at the end of the year, and I had given the exact number of referrals that I received.
Wow.
Period. Now, I'm a huge believer in the law of reciprocity. And I don't mean that I give you, Kathy, a referral, so therefore Kathy has to give me a referral. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, the law of reciprocity, is I give Kathy a referral, and then magically somebody else is going to give me a referral. It might come from Kathy, but it might come from Kathy 2 years from now. It doesn't mean it's going to come 2 months from now. But that one just took me back. Like when that happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the exact same number of referrals that I gave as the number that I got. Isn't that incredible? So yes, I have tracked referrals in my day. Yes.
Yes, I like that. And the law of reciprocity, because I forget what book that was from, but that is about the giving with no strings attached, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I will tell you, it's a seminal book. If anybody loves to read books, and you might not necessarily think of it as a business book or networking book per se, but one of the most powerful books I've ever read is a book called Influence. And it's by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Ciaini. And he talks about reciprocity, he talks about scarcity, authority, of different areas of influence. And one of the ones that he just updated the book a few years ago, I don't know if it's 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and he added this. The first book was the 6 Principles of Influence. He added another one, and that one is called Unity. That's not only that I like you, it's that you're one of us. Mm-hmm. And that really, really changes the dynamic of referrals and networking, right? Now, when you're one of us, well, that's completely different. And I'll just give the example of Rotary again, right? So if I'm in Rotary with somebody for a period of 10 years, well, Rotary's tenets are, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Well, if I hang around that environment for 10 years and then somebody actually needs something and asks me, that they're already one of us, right? They're one of us in a way that's not the same as if I meet somebody for the first time. It's not the same as if I look somebody up on the internet. It's not the same. It's markedly different. And that unity principle is really important in networking because you have to give it time to grow. You have to understand, where are you in regards to these relationships? Some of them we can form very quickly and build that trust. Other ones, because it can be because of people's personalities, it can be because their particular work that they do. And there's just a whole lot of reasons why some can grow very fast and some take a little bit longer.
Yeah, that unity that's a really interesting concept, because I call it are you building your all-star network, meaning where everybody wins, or you take good care of the people around you. But I like that word unity as a concept. So we'll look up Cialdini. I've read that book a while ago, but I'm going to check it out again. I also, Shaun, want to talk about, you're so philanthropic. You're a published author. You're doing a little bit of speaking. How did that become sort of an area that you said, I want to be of service in your career? And where are you at right now with that?
Well, I have to give credit, I would say, from a family perspective, we did not have a lot. I'm the youngest of 5 kids in less than 6 years, and I don't know any family that has 5 kids in less than 6 years that would have a lot.
No, wait, no twins in there?
No twins. So we're a very close family, both age-wise and proximity. I never had my own room or anything like that. So our parents, my mom specifically, was very community oriented, and it's what you can do for those around you. And we lived in a brand new community. We moved from the city in Philadelphia to a suburb where everybody was brand new. So it was all new. If you can picture a Minnesota equivalent, it would be Maple Grove, right? It wasn't that far from this, but it was this growing community that all of these houses are going up, and you have all these families with kids and this and that. And so it was a pretty common thing to be community oriented. At least it wasn't our family, right? It's what have you done or what will you do? My siblings, my three oldest siblings were all student council president. And then it turned out when I was also student council president, and my sister was very, very involved in the Walk for Mankind. And I was lots of times like her prop because I was her little brother. My sister's second in line, so I was her little brother, and I'd be her. She'd use me for presentations or things like that. So I think instilled pretty early about the philanthropic, like we're supposed to give to our community. We're supposed to do that, and that's supposed to feel great, and it does. So I'm really lucky with that. I did write a book called Convertible Referrals about referral marketing and networking, and I was very, very again fortunate. I was on the board of the Cookie Cart, which is a commercial retail bakery in North Minneapolis and now in St. Paul that gives kids their first paid job experience and job skills so they can go out and get work when they're done. It's for ages 15 to 17. So for kids just starting out that need some good mentoring in terms of here's how you get a job, here's how you keep a job, here's how you show up for a job. So I used the book and speaking engagements to raise about $70,000 for the Cookie Cart, which was so fun. It was really, really fun. It was the worst profit plan ever because what I would do is go and speak, and then whatever somebody paid for the book, I would double it and donate it to the Cookie Cart. So that wasn't it wasn't a good profitability thing. It was a good donation thing. So I really enjoyed it.
But that's a great community builder, and we'll put the link to the Cookie Cart because I've known that organization for years. Sue Zellickson was a friend of my mom's, or is a friend of my mom's, and I know she was involved kind of early on with that idea of cooking and building and community, and it's nice to see that it's still thriving with the work that they're doing.
Oh, just to bring it full circle for you, I was on the board with Sue Zellickson.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, so I love Sue, and she's just wonderful.
Well, I'll tell her we'll probably have a dinner together soon. She's part of the dinner club that we go out with my parents and her. So I'll let her know that. Do you, I guess this part of the networking, do you like the word networking, or do you think of it as relationships? Or some people get really hung up on the language of it. And I'm curious your thoughts. How do you get people to sort of find their way of it being about genuine relationships?
Well, actually, I think it's interesting. And in particular, I mean, we're at a time where maybe you remember, maybe we're past it. I don't think we're quite past it. But we came out of the pandemic where people spent a lot of time alone and certainly not in larger groups. And people were sort of really uncomfortable in conversations. It was, I don't mean to chuckle about it, but you almost have to chuckle about it. It's as if we've never spoken to anyone.
No, we all got weird. I say we all got a little weird, myself included.
We all got a little weird. What's this going to be like? Well, I'm not hung up on the word because I don't have friction with it. I think of it all as relationships. And I really think there's people that will be drawn to each other that want a deeper relationship. And then there's people that you can have more casual acquaintances with, and that's okay too. They're both okay. They both lift us up, by the way. Even opening a door for somebody lifts you up. I mean, if I'm get a chance to open the door for somebody that's headed into a lifetime or that's headed into a building or even that lifts somebody up. A smile lifts somebody up. It's all about those human interactions that do better by we are social. We're social creatures. Even the most introverted person in the world still is a social creature. They still have a tribe.
Yeah. Okay, I really like that about, again, I take notes during this conversation, but the whole idea of kind of lifting somebody up and that we're all social creatures. I think that's a great thing for people to keep in mind of, I don't know, you said you learned some philanthropy from your mom. I learned from my parents, like, be the one who's nice to everybody. Be the one who invites somebody into your circle or says your name first, or some of those kind of manners things that in a group. I do think with COVID, we lost our ability to know how do we connect and how do we reconvene. We're getting better at it. Shaun, do you do much online when you're meeting new people or with the team that you work with? How do you help people bridge the digital and the on and off the screen connections?
I will add that, what you described about your parents being nice to people, part of why I was positive and learned to make people laugh, as I told you already, I'm the youngest and four of us are boys. So mostly I didn't want my brothers to beat me up. So I had to make them laugh. So I came at it a little bit differently than you did. I just had to make them laugh. And then that way they would, move on to doing something else.
I think I got a little, I'm youngest too, and I think I got a little humor in there. You'd get attention if you'd crack a good joke or do something funny.
Exactly. Yeah. If you could do Richard Nixon impressions when you're a little 7-year-old or something, then you could pull off making everybody laugh.
Yeah.
So online, I am connected with people online. I'm a big consumer. I'll give another name of a wonderful guy named Dave Hatsung, who was running Network USA back when I joined. And he said something that stuck with me. And he said, Shaun, there's two things in the world. There's learners and there's non-learners. Every day you get to decide which one you're going to be. And that stuck with me in a way that I paused long enough to really digest it, really, really digest it. I will reference, I do not have a college degree. People are very, very surprised when I tell them that. I'm exceptionally well read, though. I read voraciously. I listen to podcasts. I get interested in something and then I study it for a long, long time. One of the references that I joke with if I'm talking with younger people that are more educated than I am is I say, well, I don't have a college degree, but I should have a marketing degree because I spent about $1 million of my own money on it. So I should have. So I spent way more than the school would have charged me. So in that regard, yes, I do a lot of things that I do online. I connect with people and things that I'm interested about. And I'm not afraid to reach out to somebody and say, hey, can you tell me more about this? Or I listen. Now, my latest thing that I've been immersed in is behavioral science. So I listen to these great researchers, and I do not have the skill set or the patience to be a researcher, but I devour their material. And then I reach out to them and I meet them and I talk to them and I ask them, what are you doing next? What's your next experiment's going to be like? And then I find out, and then I maybe I'm a slow learner, but I just immerse myself in ways that I find interesting.
Okay, awesome that you reach out to those people. So you're studying behavior science, you're curious, and then you track them down and reach out to them.
I do.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so everybody listening, that's a super all-star move, because you probably have such, interesting conversations, learn so much from people. And, I think people like to talk about their work. And
That's very much, well, and researchers especially. I mean, typically researchers are doing that kind of depth because they're doing me search, right? They're doing this research because they really want to know something about themselves. So if you're asking them directly about the research, you're really asking them a little bit about themselves. And everybody loves to know you care about them.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. All right. Behavioral science. So give me one tip on behavioral science. It's not a topic that I'm super well versed on. Is this like why people go right into the department stores? Is it that kind of study, or what is the?
Yeah. Well, Cialdini's behavioral science. So if you read Cialdini,
Yeah.
you're dipping into behavioral science. It's really, I will give you the Cliff Notes version of this. If you become a good networker, you will be more happy in your life. If you can remove the fear of interpersonal relationships, you're going to be more happy in your life. And it's scientifically proven that you will be happier the more social interactions that you have.
Excellent. Well, I buy that. I for sure buy that. And putting yourself out there in times of both success and struggle, I think is where people, again, blossom or find good connections for it.
And the other part, people look at me and they say, well, that's easy for you. You're an extrovert. You're okay. I will tell you, my wife is an introvert. Okay. When she's finished working a 40-hour week and dealing with people all week long, Friday night is not the night to go out with another couple or with friends or to a party, because there's been this interactions all week. Saturday night is the week to do that, because then you re-energize yourself and you're prepared. So there's part of it is also preparation for yourself, right? It's that introspection to understand what kind of person that you are, and then use that advantageously to have the best relationships that you can have.
Yeah, to know yourself.
I'll give you a practical example. A practical example for me would be someone who is more, and we're all just on a scale. Nobody's completely introverted. Nobody's completely extroverted. We're just all up and down this. I always picture it as a level, like a house level that you put on a table, right? Is this table level or not? We're all somewhere, the bubble's somewhere on the level. Well, if I were an introverted person, the best time for me to be in a networking group or a Rotary group or formal or informal, would be in the morning, not for lunch or an evening. And the reason for that is, once I've dealt with people in a meaningful way all day, my energy level is going to go down. Now, for me, I can tell you it's just a lot less relevant, because I can go out any night of the week and I'm all good with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get energy from those interactions. But it's really having that introspection enough to say, okay, where do I connect best? Where do I have the best opportunity to find the energy to have these kinds of meaningful discussions?
Yes, good. So that really knowing yourself, I that's interesting. After COVID, I was a networker who could go out kind of anywhere before COVID. And now after COVID, I think I am a little more thoughtful about what's my best time of day, or sort of how does your day get organized. So I actually am not sure which I like better. I'm going to noodle on that and get back to you on that one. What else before we wrap up? Is there any other like tips you might give to the listeners, or this has just been so great to hear it. And as I said, I'm going to have to meet your wife, because I find you calm. And I'm sure we all have squirrels with knives, running around in our head, but you're very calm in what you're doing, for the community and your employees and all of that. So if there's any more tips you want to share with people, that would be great.
I think the best thing is to really understand that people are okay with having deep conversations. I think lots of times networking, people think of it as chit chat and small talk. And I think the best conversations are when you really get to know somebody on a more personal and deeper level, because that's how you really connect. And then I will say, I had another person that showed me, he had a theory about overlapping circles, and I thought it was a great theory, and it was really interesting. So the more overlapping circles that we have, the easier it will be for us to connect on a deeper level. In other words, if you have church, exercise, school, maybe it's children, family, maybe, just those overlapping circles. And it doesn't mean that your families have to be connected. It could be that you have children the same age that I do. It could be that you play pickleball if you're a pickleballer, whatever the case may be. But the more of those that you have, the more likelihood that we'll be able to cross that bridge into these deeper conversations. So I thought that was a great visual thing that he laid out for me. And it doesn't mean that you can't find meaning and really good relationship with people that don't have those overlapping circles, but it helps you expedite it if you do have those overlapping circles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, I like that a lot. I was just thinking when you said you played basketball, my father was part of something called the Gus Macker 3-on-3 basketball tournaments. I don't know if you knew that in the day. Well, they're coming back and they're going to be here again in August of 2024. And he always said, he goes, playing basketball with people, it's a great way to get to know them. So I like the overlapping circles as a way of let's talk about things that are common to us. Like you said, church or kids or pets or hobbies, as well as your work, because you get to know people on a different level. So, oh, Shaun, super great to have you here. We'll have people connect with you on LinkedIn if they want to, right?
Sure.
If that's okay. And then we'll put the cookie cart link in, because not only can you buy cookies there, order them for events, you're really supporting the community, and that 15 to 17 job age is so important for everybody. But thank you so much for being a guest today.
I'll mention a PS on LinkedIn. So you talked about technology, and really do not invite anyone to connect on LinkedIn that you can't give them a reason to connect with you. In other words, do a personal invite. And why are you asking them to connect with you? Because I don't accept any invitations that people just send me a invite without any frame of reference or context. I mean, this is a relationship. It's kind of like, okay, well, if you say hi to me walking down the street, I don't go to your house.
Right.
So similarly, I mean, LinkedIn is a really good business networking tool, but do a personalized invite. Tell me why, you would want to connect with me, or that you heard me on with my friend Kathy Paper. All those kinds of things matter, because that's the people that I can grow a relationship with. I had really fascinating connection recently that they would not connect unless I talked with them for half an hour. It was a behavioral science connection. And he has appointments that he has set up every week to meet with people. And that's the only way he will connect with anyone. And I thought it was awesome, so I thought that was a great way to do it. Yeah. I'm not level because I'm not that organized. But it is a LinkedIn tip, so to speak. Make sure you're connecting with purpose.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll click that just link button before I've personalized the invite. And I'm like, oh no. And then I write back to them and say, I'm so sorry. Here's why I want to connect with you. So I'm pretty good at that recovery, because I agree. I don't link with anybody unless we have some reason why. So-and-so said we should meet, or we both are, involved in this. So great tip. Thank you so much for being here. Just awesome to have you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks for listening to the All-Star Networking Show with Kathy Paper. If you're interested in being a guest, please contact Kathy at www.rockpaperstar.com.